On April 1st, the direct confrontation between Iran and Israel entered a new phase. Iranian forces launched a coordinated strike using ballistic missiles. This wasn't a warning shot. It was a large-scale attempt to overwhelm Israeli defenses, with multiple warheads launched simultaneously from Iran, Iraq, and Yemen. The skies over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem were filled with a terrifying fireworks display, as Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow defense systems activated. While the IDF confirmed many threats were neutralized, at least 3 missiles struck populated areas in northern Israel, causing structural damage and reported casualties. Amidst this escalation, President Donald Trump announced a strategic review of United States military commitments in the Middle East. He stated that the U.S. would no longer serve as the automatic military backstop for every conflict in a region that has consumed American resources. This shift challenges a decades-old status quo. The presence of American aircraft carrier strike groups in the eastern Mediterranean acted as the primary regional deterrent, signaling to Iran that any major escalation against Israel would pull in the full weight of the U.S. military. Now, Trump is signaling that the U.S. will not be writing a blank check for either side. This assessment includes the potential redeployment of assets positioned to respond to Iranian threats, removing the guaranteed security net that has long shaped regional calculations. If the United States follows through on this disengagement, regional powers are forced into a difficult position. Leaders in Tel Aviv and Tehran must choose between doubling down on military force to establish their own deterrence or finding a diplomatic path to avoid a conflict without external support. Inside Israel, the strategic debate is intensifying. While hardline cabinet members argue for a preemptive strike on Iranian infrastructure, military leaders are expressing alarm. They are questioning how Israel would sustain a long-term conflict without the guaranteed ammunition resupply and logistical support that Washington has traditionally provided. The risk of miscalculation is highest regarding Iran's nuclear program. A strike on these facilities is what many in the Israeli government are pushing for, but Tehran has promised that such an attack would trigger a massive response, targeting both Israeli and American interests across the region. Iran's primary defense is what the IDF calls the Ring of Fire. This is a coordinated network of proxy forces across Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, built over 40 years to be activated simultaneously if the Iranian state is directly threatened. We are already seeing this network in motion. In the last few days, Hezbollah has fired over 200 rockets from Lebanon. Houthi forces in Yemen have launched drones toward Israeli waters, and Shia militias have struck American bases in Iraq twice. Israel is prepared to fight on multiple fronts, but doing so against motivated, state-backed proxies while American support is uncertain is a challenge that dramatically complicates their military planning. A full-scale war of attrition becomes much more difficult to sustain without a reliable ally. A wider conflict in the Middle East offers a strategic advantage to Russia. Every hour American policymakers spend managing an Iran-Israel war is one less hour they can focus on the front lines in Ukraine or the defense of NATO. China is also looking for opportunities. As Iran's largest oil customer, Beijing provides the revenue that keeps Iran's economy and military programs functioning. If the U.S. steps back from its commitments, China is already positioned to fill the vacuum with its own economic and security partnerships. The uncertainty is causing panic among Gulf allies. The Abraham Accords and the normalization of relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia were built on the foundation of American security guarantees. If those guarantees are under review, these nations must rethink their entire approach to regional security. This could lead to a rapid arms race in the Gulf. If Saudi Arabia and the UAE feel they can no longer rely on the U.S., they may accelerate their own advanced weapons acquisitions, including the pursuit of nuclear capabilities for self-defense. Within hours of Trump's announcement, Iranian state media celebrated, while Arab leaders began making urgent calls to Washington. The mere suggestion of an American retreat has forced every nation in the region to begin preparing for a future where they must defend themselves. History shows that even the most dangerous escalations, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, can be walked back. But right now, the margin for a diplomatic solution is extremely thin, and the window to act is closing. For peace to hold, several conditions must be met simultaneously. First, Iran must signal its strikes were a one-time response. Second, Israel must claim a deterrence win without a major strike on Iranian soil. American engagement must remain clear, and mediators like Qatar must execute back-channel negotiations. If one fails, the de-escalation mechanism falls apart. Domestic politics in Tehran are an additional obstacle. The April 1st strikes were popular among Iranian hardliners, making it difficult for the 85-year-old supreme leader to signal a retreat without appearing weak during a complex internal power struggle. Because of these overlapping pressures, military analysts suggest we are closer to a full-scale regional conflict than at any point since 1973. The pieces are already moving, and the time for a diplomatic intervention is measured in hours, not weeks. Whether the next 72 hours bring a ceasefire or a wider war, the regional landscape has been altered. The assumption of unconditional American military support has cracked, forcing every nation to consider a future navigating survival entirely on their own.